Hello, and thank you for checking out another Vintage Gaming World video tutorial. Today we're going to be working with the PlayStation 2. This is the fat model, obviously. Just to start off, you need to be careful with the ps2. It's a little more delicate than some of the older consoles, so I'm not responsible for you messing something up. Do it at your own risk. Alright, this is what we're going to be using today. I got the precision screwdriver set, missing one for some reason. I got the Phillips head screwdriver, got a couple of Q-tips in case I need to clean something here or there. And next I've got my little fruity tin for putting my bolts and stuff that I removed. Alright, just remember that there are several models of the PS2, not to mention the Slims, but even in the Fats there are quite a few different little model numbers and variations on the inside. So if you're following this video, just remember that this is on a 3901. Generally they don't differ a whole lot, but it might be just enough to throw you off, so just keep that in mind. Alright, first things first. Usually they'll have a warranty seal right here. If that warranty seal is there, you'll need to remove that first, otherwise it won't open. Next, as you can see, there are 8 screw holes for the bottom of this thing. First you got to take each one of the pads and the covers and pry them up. I'm using just the little flathead so you can get in there and pry them all up. I always make sure to put these in my little tin for bolts too, because you can lose those just as easily as a bolt. I've done it many times, and it will make it rock weird and stuff if you lose one of those padded ones. Alright, when you got those pried up, all you gotta do is get you out a nice little Phillips head and remove all of them. Also, while you're doing this, remember that there's a couple of different sizes that you're going to be pulling out right here. So just kind of pay attention and remember where you take them out of. That way it'll make it a lot easier on you when you put it back together. Okay. Now the next part is a little tricky. You gotta remember to be careful, because I've seen it happen and I've heard a lot of people talk about them doing this. On the PS2 Fat model, when you're taking the case apart, the actual eject and power buttons are wired separately but still attached to the case, so you can't just rip it apart, otherwise you rip those ribbons off. You won't break it, but believe me, it's a pain in the butt to put back together. Okay, now you always want to pry the top off and start from the back. Lift from the back, kind of wiggle it out of the front. As you can see, here is that ribbon that's attached. Okay, so what I always do is I slide everything over a little bit. And set it like that. That way you don't have to worry about removing it, unless you're disassembling the entire thing, of course. Alright, now we've got the inside of it. Pretty clean inside. There's a little bit of spider webs in this one. You got your fan, you got your power port right here, and that slides right out. So does your fan. We're not going to get to that quite yet. Now to start off with, you're going to need the smaller size screwdriver for this one, Phillips head. This is the top of your disk drive, and there's 4 really small screws. So we're going to get the smaller size that usually comes in those kits and get those 4 screws out. Alright, now this thing just sort of pops off, a little wiggle. Oh, surprise, surprise, we got a Sims 2 in there. Alright, set all that aside. Find a place for it. Okay, now you've got the laser assembly and all that. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to take out the actual disc tray. If you look closely, there are 2 screws right here, 2 small screws. You're going to want to take those out. Okay. Now, just kind of slide it and pop it off. And now you got to slide all the way out. That's your disc tray out. Set that aside as well. Now you can see all the insides of this. You want to be careful and make, because static will screw that laser up and possibly fry half of the system. So just make sure you're really, really careful. Next, we're going to just unloosen the fan. Take that one little screw out right there, which is right here on this side of it. Okay. Be careful too not to rip this fan up, because it is connected with a wire down towards the bottom of the board, and then you'll be busy resoldering that together. Right, now we're going to go ahead and take this thing out. What you got to do is you got to pull the back out, kind of twist to the side, and now you've got that detached. Alright, next part, I'm going to go ahead and slide that back in. Next part is you got to flip it over. Go ahead and if you got an expansion bay, go and take that out. Okay. This is also a little tricky. You just want to be careful and everything. Make sure you're not grabbing the disk drive or anything while you're taking this out. You don't want to put your hands right on that laser and kind of work it up a little bit. Oh, my bad. You also have to take these controller port screws off first. And I believe there's some, there's one right here as well on the back end of this. It doesn't have to come out right now, but it just makes it easier later on. Okay, as you see, that's attached with a ribbon, so be careful not to rip that out either. Okay, now we're going to do like I was talking about and slowly kind of pry it up. Make sure you pay attention to that controller port. Set that aside. Okay, now on the back here, as you can see, the little fan and power port can slide out. Which this is a little tricky because, like I said, you're just going to make it a pain on yourself if you try to rush this and just pull it all out at once. Kind of got the fan dislodged. Okay, there's that. Nice and dusty. Good reason to have your Q-tip. That way while you're in here you can kind of just rub some of that off there. Okay. Now the rest of it we're going to have to flip it over. Another opportunity to screw something up. It's got all of these loose parts hanging on here right now. Just be real careful on this part of it. Alright, now you see we've got, this is actually the PSU, which is what powers the entire PlayStation 2 console. There's 4 little screws, you just want to take them in. Alright, now this is connected with a little 4-prong thing, which I know it's not easy to see right there. But you gotta just slide that upwards, try not to bend it. Alright, now that was also connected. I kind of just popped it out of there, and you can see that's the little power board still. Little power switch and plug still attached. Set that aside as well. Next is this little piece. Just slide that right off. Okay, I'm not going to go a whole lot farther. I'm just going to show you how to take this little thing off right here, and that way, for whatever reason, if you need to disconnect the controller port and the fan, you can do so. Alright, there's a little shield in there. Just make sure you remember to put that back. It's real easy to forget that. Alright, now as you can see, the fan is attached a little piece of tape and a little itty bitty connector right here. Go ahead and pull that out. Now, there's a lot of little screws if you want to take this metal piece off, but after you take that metal piece off, you can disconnect your disk drive ribbons, your controller port, and your reset button, and be able to have some room. I'll point out the screws you need to take out. There's one here, 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 there, and there, and then there's 1, 2, 3, 4 right here, and I believe that's all of them on this part. Should be all of them.